This message is for you. A lot of young people are truly overthinking it. Listen, you do not have to love every aspect of your job to continue that job, okay? You do not have to obsess over finding your dream job when you're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. It's going to take time to do it. Take it from me, all right? Every single experience you have, it's just a contributing experience to your overall future state of what you're going to do for a living, what you're going to be good at, what you're going to like, what you're going to love, what your end job is going to be. And as soon as you start realizing that every single experience you have, every single job you have, it's just going to teach you something and give you perspective that illuminates the future for you, it's going to be a big unlock for you. The sooner that you realize that, the sooner you can take all the pressure off about that job being the end all be all. I used to think that I had to be so analytical about the kind of work that I did because it just had to be so in line with my purpose and my gifting and what God is calling me to do and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be. So here are a few things you need to think about when you're thinking about getting a job when you're young. Consideration number 1. It needs to bring money in. You need to build independence. You need to start figuring out how to make enough money to be able to buy the food and the shelter that you need to sustain yourself. You do not have to love your job if your number one priority is feeding yourself. There is pressure that is good for you to not live at your mom and dad's house anymore, or not live on the college campus where someone else is paying for you to live there. It is good to have pressure to make money. It is going to make you better if you have to start getting creative about how am I going to make enough money to provide for myself. Stop trying to go after your vision, your dream, your job that you feel like you were created for when you are living in someone else's house, when someone else is paying for your life. That's not fair to them, okay? And I know that's like kind of hard to hear, but a lot of people need to hear that. And it's not just about using other people. I'm not saying that you're a manipulative person or you're selfish or anything like that. I'm saying that you have to think about the job a little bit less in line with your purpose and your happiness and your joy all the time. You need to think about it as a means to become a contributing member of society. We have totally conflated the ideology of I must love my job and I must provide for myself. We have completely conflated those two things as like the same thing. It's not supposed to be the same thing. It is supposed to be, I do this job because I need to find a way to build independence. I need to be able to provide for myself. It's going to make me better. It's going to grow me. It's going to force me to be a big kid and be a more mature person, making decisions and understanding taxes and things like that. And if I love my job, then I should stay there. I should work hard. I should work to get promoted, etc., etc. But we do not need to think that every single thing we do to provide for ourselves needs to be the most passion-invoking thing in our entire world, okay? It doesn't need to be the end-all, be-all, okay? Number 2 consideration when you're thinking about a job. It has to be something that does not clash with your morality, something that is not force you to do things or to act a certain way that you don't believe in, right? So I'm of the Christian faith. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe he's our Lord and Savior. I believe that there are certain things that are unacceptable for me to do as a Christian and to still maintain my relationship with God. He gave me life, and so I want to honor some of the rules and the regulations and the guidelines and the principles that he's given me. And so it doesn't matter if I was recruited as a bouncer at a strip club. It doesn't matter how much money they're willing to pay me. It doesn't matter how well it works for my schedule. I would not take that job because that is going to put me in an environment that is not good for me as a person. based on my belief system. And come on, guys, we don't need to pretend we're stupid and choose a job that's going to put you in situations where your addiction could flare, where your distractions will mount. Like, you don't need to put yourself in situations that are not good for you. In fact, if you deny one of those opportunities because you know it's not going to be good for your soul, God will reward you for that in this life. He will reward you for that. Some of these things are tests. They're tests of your character. They're tests of what's actually important to you. Do you care more about money or your soul? There is a Bible verse that I reference quite often. What good is it to gain the whole world but to lose your soul? Okay? So you have to put your soul first. You have to put your beliefs first. Nothing else should be able to compromise those things. The Bible also says you cannot serve both God and money at the same time. There's no way you can serve both of those masters at the same time. That's another thing that our world is completely tripping on. They are trying to conflate worldly success with godly success, success in the kingdom, closeness with God. There are a lot of people who are super close with God and walking with God and living very righteously who are financially poor. And that is not, they're not getting anything wrong. They are just poor. Now, God doesn't want you to be poor. I don't think so. But stop thinking that if you're a super tight with God, then you're going to be super rich. That is ridiculous. That is not biblical. Look at Jesus' life. He was poor. He was the Son of God, but he was poor. Okay? Thirdly, and this is if number one and if number two, check all the boxes for you, right? So if you are able to provide for yourself with this money, or at least it helps you grow up, helps you become more independent, and if the job doesn't clash with your morality at all, this is number three. You should use your gifts that God gave you at that job. If you are in a job that you don't use your gifts in, you will be frustrated all the time, and you will not do a good job. And you should quit that job not only because you will not do a great job at that job and get promoted and serve others and lead a team and stuff like that, but it's also because someone else is better equipped for that job and would absolutely die for that job because they have gifts that are more eligible, relevant, contributive to that job. So don't occupy a space that you're not supposed to be in. But there's a little bit of fuzziness here because there's a difference between saying, oh man, I'm not using my gifts in this job is not for me. I'm going to give it some time. I'm going to try to cultivate those gifts. Maybe this is good pressure for me. I'm going to build some new skills. Pressure makes diamonds. This is good. God is shaping me. He's putting me in a difficult situation so that I grow. There's a difference between that mentality and the mentality of entitlement, which is the attitude of, this job serves me, and if this job ain't working for me based on how I'm currently composed, then I'm done with this job. That is completely backwards. Like, you are going to need to make personal and professional adjustments to be successful in any job. Trust me, okay? There is no job that is going to be perfectly curated for you, and if there was, it wouldn't be very good for you, and it would probably pay crap, okay? Because there are certain things that we cannot change in the world. There are certain things where the world just operates a specific way and you can't actually control certain aspects of your surroundings. I wonder how bad my camera's been this entire video. But I'm telling you right now, you cannot think that a job has to be your dream job for you to stay in the job, okay? However, you will get a lot more life out of a job, obviously, where you're using your gifts, right? Maybe there's a natural thing that you're just good at. Maybe there's natural skills and capabilities. Maybe there's things that you're naturally interested in. And I just realized I'm going to the wrong place. You need to be in a job that uses all of the things that God gave you. But let's say you have a job that has like 6 or 7 things that it requires of you, and you're just not good at like 3 of those things. That's actually might be a really good environment for you. So you have to use your best judgment. Is this something that I just don't enjoy because change is uncomfortable sometimes? Or is this a job that, yeah, I don't enjoy it a lot, but I feel like I'm really growing. It's not challenging my morality. There's no vibes of like, this is a bad environment for me or anything like that. I'm gonna give this more time because I think what's probably gonna happen is I'm gonna grow from this, and maybe down the line I will see why I had this job. I'll see why I had this job. Maybe it's good for me to not be comfortable all the time. God, man, the camera's tripping right now. Part of this is not like about this is not always about picking a do not quit a job just because it's hard for you, and do not quit a job when it gets difficult immediately if you don't have something lined up. And this goes back to the number one thing. Sometimes it's going to just suck to be in a job. Like I feel like I could like hard stop right there and people would be like, wait, what? Like, that's not acceptable. Everyone here is conditioned to think that everything has to make them feel good all the time. It's entitlement. You know how many people have done jobs that they don't want to do because they need to provide for a family? Don't wait until you have a husband, a wife, a kids, people who rely on you to be a big person and to say, hey, this kind of sucks, but I'm going to suck up some of the negative characteristics of this thing. I'm going to get over it. I'm going to get through those things. I'm going to work the problem in front of me, because at the end of the day, I need money to hit my bank account every 2 weeks. Like, I'm sorry, but there is so much value in just doing a job and getting paid for that job. Putting in value, right? Providing value and getting something valuable back. There is a system. That is the way the world works. And so do not be so entitled to think that your company is lucky to have you and yada, 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 especially if you're a young person. No. Do not have an entitlement mindset. Be grateful for what you have, even if parts of it suck. Welcome to being an adult. There's nothing great in life that doesn't suck a tiny bit. Everything is going to be a little bit sucky sometimes, and you just have to be tough. But a lot of people I hear about, like a lot of people I talk to, a lot of kids I talk to, and when I say kids, by the way, I'm not talking about like children. I mean, like, I'm 36, so like kids, like people who are younger than me, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't call a 35-year-old a kid, but like, I don't know. You're in college or you're older and you're up to 30 or something like that. But young people, I talk to a lot of them about their current situation, their jobs, and a lot of them are like, yeah, I'm not feeling my job right now. I'm going to find something else. Like, I'm going to quit soon. I just don't do that. Like, if your goal is to find a job that you like better, maybe you've tried at this thing and it's not working out, and you're like, this is just not good for me, I'm not growing, etc. Okay, like, we agree, time to find another job. The goal of you finding another job is finding a job that is more in line with your goals, with your skills, capabilities, interests, vibe, like whatever. If that's the goal, then think about how to pursue that goal. Wouldn't you rather pursue that goal with less stress? Okay, because if you quit your job and you start having financial stress, what are you going to do? You're going to get stressed out, and you're going to start making decisions based on money, based on how fast can I start, and you are not actually considering all of the factors that you wanted to be considering when you were taking your next job. So my advice is, within reason, right? Like, keep your current job, do the best you can at it, see it as an opportunity to grow, to build perseverance, to build what the Bible calls long suffering, right? Sometimes it's gonna suck, you just grind it out, you stay positive, you lean on God more. You ask yourself, okay, I'm gonna be out of this job in 6 weeks, like I'm gonna find something else, but in the meantime, God, what are you trying to show me? How are you trying to grow me? That's it. And then have the money coming in so that you're not freaking out financially, which gives you, it puts you in a space, a mental space from which you can evaluate different options in a non-anxious manner, and you can make an informed decision about your next step. But do not hop from job to job, quitting and then taking a new one, quitting and then taking a new one. Dude, you're young. What are you even evaluating jobs against anyway? Your last crappy job? Like, give things time, work at it. Consider the benefits of your current negative situation. God is trying to teach you things. God is putting you in situations that are going to grow you. Those things can be uncomfortable sometimes. So sometimes you just have to suck it up, submit to the process, and try to glean the good things from a job situation. I know it's crappy to hear, but a lot of the time people are hearing what they want to hear. And I'm going to tell you what you need to hear based on my mistakes, based on all my failures. Please learn from my mistakes. That is the entire idea behind this series. I used to go from job to job, being like, nah, that's not it. That's not my purpose. Boom, I'm going to move. Nah, this isn't it. This isn't my purpose. And I made so many lateral moves that I was just the talented guy who just moved on too much. It's the same thing in relationships, by the way. Do you really think that the grass is always greener? No, it just feels greener because you're starting something new, and there's like an infatuation cycle. And then once the infatuation cycle wears off, you're like, oh crap, I'm kind of in the same situation I was in before. I'm uncomfortable. I'm going to try this again. You're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you're expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity. Okay? So, recap. 3 things to consider in terms of your job when you're young. 1, does it pay my bills? Does it help me become more independent financially? Which should be everyone's goal, regardless of whether your parents or your guardians are putting that pressure on you. That should be your goal. Number 2, does it clash with my morality? Is it good for me from a spiritual standpoint? Okay? If it's like neutral there, you push forward and you're like, I'm going to make it a positive environment. Number 3, am I using my God-given gifts, or am I building potential God-given gifts and skills that I will use in another faculty in the future? Those are your 3 considerations when you're making career decisions when you're young, okay? I hope this encourages you. I hope this informs you. Some of y'all need real talk. I care too much to sit here and just make you feel great, okay? Sometimes you have to embrace the suck. Sometimes it's time to get out. But you have to use wisdom to figure out where you're at on that spectrum.